Prince of Stable, 1. Part 1. The Tribe of Ephraim and the Joman People. Jesus is the type of Prince Shotoku. It might be said that Jesus Christ was the type that the New Testament planned for the birth of Prince Shotoku in Japan. In other words, Prince Shotoku was antitype of Jesus Christ. From the Christian theology, if the preordained certain persons, events, and institutions of the Old Testament bear to corresponding persons, events, and institutions in the New Testament, what is depicted in the Old Testament is called type, and corresponding description in the New Testament is called antitype. The story behind the birth of Prince Umayado. Prince Shotoku was born on February 7, 574, the third year of the reign of Emperor Bidatsu, in what is now Asuka village, Nara Prefecture. His father was Prince Tachibana Toyohi, that is, later became Emperor Yomei, the son of Emperor Kinmei, and his mother was Princess Anahobi no Hashihito, the third princess of Emperor Kinmei. Prince Tachibana Toyoi's mother was Kitashihime, the daughter of Soga no Yiname, and Princess Anahobi no Hashihito's mother was Owain no Kimi, also the daughter of Yiname. In other words, both of Prince Shotoku's parents were half-siblings with Emperor Kinmei as their father, making him a thoroughbred with the direct right to succeed the throne in the Kinmei dynasty, born through a brother-sister marriage. However, Soga no Yiname was either his parents' grandfather or father, thus he had strong blood ties to the Soga clan. According to the entry for April of the first year of the reign of Empress Suiko in the Nihon Shoki, after his mother, Princess Anahobi no Hashihito, became pregnant, she was visiting a few departments of the imperial palace, and when she arrived at the horse department, she happened to bump into the Umayado stable door and suddenly went into labor, giving birth to the prince, who was then named Prince of Umayado, Prince of Stable. Historian Kume Kunitake, who also served as a professor at the Imperial University, has stated that it is believed that the story of the birth of Christ was passed down by monks at the time and added to the prince's biography. Introduction of Nestorianism to Japan. According to Shinsen Shojuroku, an imperially commissioned Japanese genealogical record compiled in the 8th–9th century, in the 8th year 197 CE of Emperor Chuai, who was the 14th emperor counting from the first emperor Jinmu, King Komen of the Christian nation of Yazuki came to Japan with his servants. According to the Nihon Shoki, the Chronicles of Japan, compiled in 720, Yazuki no Kimi, the lord of Yazuki, crossed over to Japan from the Korean state of Paikse. Nihon Shoki also states that the son of King Komen led 18,670 people and came to the country during the reign of the 15th Emperor Ojin. The late Professor Yoshiro Saki of Waseda University, who is said to have been the world leader in Kaikyo, Jingjiao, luminous religion or Nestorianism research, said, "This is thought to be the origin of a Christian called Hata came to Japan in large sums." According to the Chinese history book Ziji Tongjian, there was a country called Gongyue, Yazuki, built by a nomad named Qin, Hata near Lake Balkhash in Central Asia. Another Chinese history book, Three Kingdoms, states that the Qins were people of tall stature, rode on horses, kept their clothes clean and had a special language and customs. Incidentally, the Aramaic language spoken in the Assyria's Edessa region was called Syriac, and the Jingjiao followers mainly spoke Syriac. Eastern transmission of Judaism and the First Yamato administration. According to recent genetic studies, The ancestors of the Jomon people, which were carrying the Y chromosome D2 gene, as same as the Ephraim and Manasseh tribes, 2 of the 12 tribes of Judea, seem to have come to the Japanese archipelago via Saharan, by about 16,500 years ago. Professor Emeritus of Tohoku University, Mr. Hidemichi Tanaka, a historian and art historian who also served as a visiting professor at the University of Rome and Bologna University, has pointed out that humanoid haniwas, clay images with a long beard and a long sideburns, wearing a peculiar hat, which were excavated from many ancient burial mounds in Chiba, Ibaraki, Gunma, and Saitama prefectures, are very similar to Jews in formal wear described in the Old Testament Levi, and has claimed that it is evidence of Jewish arrival in Japan. The excavation of these types of human-shaped haniwa is limited to the Kanto region, and the population distribution of the Jomon period was concentrated in the Kanto and Tohoku regions. Therefore, Takamaga Harayama in Ueno Village, Tano County, Gunma Prefecture seems to be evidence that the cultural sphere of the Jomon people, which corresponds to Takamagahara and Hidekami no Kuni described in the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, existed in the Kanto and Tohoku regions. Perhaps the tribe of Ephraim, which had been interacting with the inhabitants of the Japanese archipelago before Moses's exodus and Joshua's conquest of Canaan, brought Judaism to Japan after the fall of the northern kingdom of Israel and was believed to have contributed to the founding of the first Yamato dynasty by Nigihaya Hinamakoto. Circumcision in Gilgal. All the Jews fled from Egypt with Moses had died while wandering through the Sinai wilderness for 40 years. Joshua chapter 5 verse 6. For this reason, Joshua, the leader of the Ephraim tribe, nominated by Moses as his successor, who had sent all the people of Israel to the West Bank, including about 40,000 warriors of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh who had settled on the East Bank, ordered everyone to circumcise in Gilgal. Joshua chapters 3–5. The above description in the book of Joshua, the sixth book of the Old Testament, suggests that the nomads who conquered Canaan on the west bank of the Jordan River were uncircumcised non-Jews and different from the Jews who had escaped Egypt under the leadership of Moses. Paleo-Mongoloids. According to Israeli research agency Amishiv, organization aimed at seeking the lost tribes of Israel, the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, who had settled on the eastern bank of the Jordan River around at that time, have had the Y chromosome gene D, which is characteristic of Paleo-Mongoloids such as Jomon people, indigenous people of the Japanese archipelago and Tibetans. Thus they seem to have been genetically different from the descendants of the 12 sons of Jacob, also known as Israel, including Joseph, their father's tribe. If the Paleo-Mongoloid nomads who had settled on the eastern bank of the Jordan River had not attacked the West Bank and had not mass converted to Judaism, the ancient kingdom of Israel would not have been founded and the 5 books of Moses, Torah, would also not have been established. Mass conversion. Although the Ephraim and Manasseh tribes joined forces to invade the west bank of the Jordan River, the tribes alone could not compete with the urban nation of farmers, so they seem to have thought of getting the cooperation of the 12 tribes of Israel, including the Reuben and Gad tribes, by mass conversion to Judaism by themselves. And when this part of the Old Testament was created in Solomon's court, the story of Joseph having 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, in Egypt, and the story of Moses nominating Joshua of the Ephraim as his successor seem to have been inserted. Birth of Judaism. If both tribes did not invade the west bank of the Jordan River and did not mass convert to Judaism, perhaps, the incident of Moses's exodus would have been forgotten, and neither the founding of the ancient kingdom of Israel nor the establishment of the Pentateuch would have occurred. Joshua, or several leaders of the Ephraim tribe who became the model of Joshua, who allegedly ordered all the Israelites to be circumcised in Gilgal, unearthed the origins of the Jews and the Exodus legend and laid the foundation for Judaism, and seems to have established the unity of religion and politics based on the covenant of the single founder Abraham and God, that is, a union of independent tribes. Thus the people of the covenant was born. The total number of the people of the covenant, that is, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, is said to be 3.4 billion now. Manasseh and the Second Yamato administration. Emperor Jinmu, who was a descendant of Tenzin Ninigi no Makoto, descended to Mount Takachiho in Tsukushi of Kitakyushu, and annexed the first Yamato administration and established the second Yamato administration, seems to have been a leader of Korean Peninsula-linked clan, because according to the description in the Nihon Shoki and Kojiki, his elder brother Inaino Makoto is said to have been Silla King's ancestor. And also, the Christians Hata clan, who are believed to be descendants of the Manasseh tribe, seem to have stayed in Silla before they came to Japan. During the time of Prince Shotoku, Silla presented to Japan a statue of Maitreya Bodhisattva sitting contemplatively in the half-lotus position with the shape of fingers of its right hand symbolized the doctrine of Jingjiao, Kikyo, luminous religion, 3-1 mysterious substance. Furthermore, according to the book Hanchokun Johan Roku, which was compiled in the early days of Muromachi era, Emperor Ankin had a prince called Toyoikomiko, and Toyoikomiko and Hata Kawakatsu were the same person. If this is the case, then Emperor Keitai, that is, Emperor Ankin's father, would also be a member of the Hata clan, who came from Korea and who is said to be a descendant of the first emperor of Qin. From these facts, the second Yamato administration around at the time of its inauguration seems to have had a close relationship with the Manasseh tribe. The origin of the Yamato imperial court. A Jew named Joseph Eidelberg, author of The Biblical Hebrew Origin of the Japanese People, states that there was a place named Yahoamato near the lake Balkhash and says that this might be the etymology of Yamato. According to Protestant Bible commentator Mr. Arimasa Kubo, who was the first pastor of the Ikebukuro Nishi Church, the United Church of Christ in Japan, the Aramaic word, Yahoamato, means, Yahweh's people. A friend of Kubo tried to buy a Jewish horn shofar at an antique shop, and the shop owner told her, "There are two types of shofars, long and short. The long ones were used by people called Yahoamato, a descendant tribe of the ancient Israelites." According to Mr. Joseph Eidelberg, the full name of Jinmu, the first emperor of Japan, Kamu Yamato Yiwore Hiko Sumera Makoto, is derived from the Hebrew Aramaic words, Kam Yamato Ivli Pico Shmelan Makto, and can be interpreted as, the king of Samaria, the noble founder of the Hebrew nation of Yahweh. According to Mr. Kubo, Eidelberg interprets Yiwore as Ivli, but Yiwore may have come from Ephraim. If so, the name of Emperor Jinmu becomes the king of Samaria, the noble founder of the Ephraim tribe of Yahweh. In other words, Ephraim, the son of the fourth generation of Joseph counting from Abraham, who had been sold off as a slave by his brothers and later become the prime minister of Egypt and saved the famined Israelites, was the same person of Emperor Jinmu. A famous Shintoist, Professor Chikao Fujisawa, who taught at Nihon University and Kokushikan University, also believed that the roots of the three imperial regalia were ancient Israel. In 1965, a mound tomb, which was thought to be from late to last stage of Yayoi period, was found in Arita, Itoshima City, Fukuoka Prefecture. A survey from 1988 to 1999 ultimately found 5 tombs. A total of 40 made in China and made in Japan copper mirrors, including 5 46.5 cm diameter mirrors, have been unearthed from grave number 1. According to archaeologist Mr. Dairoku Harada, who surveyed, the diameter of 46.5 cm is the same as Yata no Kagami, if it is converted to circle size. So he thought that the burial of the first tomb would have been Princess Tamayori-hime no Makoto, that is, Ohermenemuchi. Princess Tamayori-hime no Makoto is the wife of Okunanushi no Makoto, that is, the protagonist of the Izumo myth. Ohermenemuchi is a synonym for Amaterasu Omakami. In other words, Mr. Harada seems to see Amaterasu Omakami as the same god as Princess Tamayori-hime no Makoto, who had originally been the priestess of Izumo. By the way, Yata no Kagami, one of 3 sacred treasures, may have been created in Japan through imitating the copper mirror which had been made in China. If Hebrew and Greek words were to have been written, it was likely that those who understood these words were involved, and that the period would coincide with the time when Jingzhou was introduced to Japan. And at that time, the Japanese imperial family may have converted from Judaism to primitive Christianity, because the Meiji emperor said to Princess Shinobu, Shinto had originally been a Jewish religion and later integrated into primitive Christianity. And primitive Christianity may have referred to the Jacobite which was faithful to the Mosaic law, including circumcision. In addition, 12 vertical holes with a diameter of 70 cm existed in the southeast of the first tomb. According to the survey report, it is seen to be remains of pillars related the worship of the sun because they are located in the direction of southeast of Fugatoge Pass, where the tribe of Tensen, imperial ancestors, is said to have descended. Mr. Harada said, it is considered to be the remains of buildings related to Mogurinomiya, Mourning Palace. Incidentally, the ancient Israelites had a custom of worshipping toward the east. And although this practice was inherited by Christianity, it seems that the 4th century fathers did not know why to pray eastward. For example, Saint Gregorios, Bishop of Nyssa, who is said to have argued against the Arius at the meeting of the First Council of Constantinople and to have helped to establish the doctrine of the Trinity, said, "We all look to the east during prayer, but few know that we are in search of our original home, paradise, which God planted in the Garden of Eden, to the east." It may be the remnant of the worship of the sun that the Jews acquired when they moved to Egypt. It is noted in the inscription of the Nestorian stele that the Jingzhou Christians, too, practiced Eastern worship. Then, the worship of the sun in Japan, too, may have been the ancient Israel or Egyptian origin religion brought into Japan by Tensen tribe.